the red dot that it is recording. Do you see that? Okay, perfect. All righty, so welcome, future Scarlet Knights. We thank you for joining us today. We know that it's been a long day if you've been attending the virtual sessions earlier. We want to thank you for being a part of this, which I know that it's not the most traditional way to visit our campus, but we thank you nonetheless for taking the time to log in and find out more information about our school. Um, so this panel is actually consists of our ambassadors. Our ambassadors are students who are involved in not only in our ambassador program, but as you will probably hear from them in many different areas and many different organizations. And they are all of different majors. So I am going to have them introduce themselves, and they'll be able to give you a perspective on a student perspective on our academics and social life here on campus. So I am going to, this is just an overview, which you probably may have already went over if you attended our earlier general session, just that the number of students that we have, and that's probably also changed a little bit. And also that our student to faculty ratio is 13:1. There's the ratio for our first year advising, and then that we also pride ourselves on being a very close knit community here at SEBS. So with that said, I also want to just point out these amazing pictures of all of the different aspects of our school. I know one of our students here mentioned specifically that she's so sad that you guys are not getting an opportunity to see the farm on campus, because that is something that is a big draw for our students. And an opportunity for students to get a lot of hands-on experience. But feel free at some point, if you're local, to just drive by and take a look at it, because it's just as beautiful to look from the outside as it is to experience it when you're actually walking through it. And then, of course, our CNI puppy, one of our dogs from the CNI Puppy Club, which is one of our popular clubs. So I'm not sure if did yes, okay. So Angela, I'm going to actually have you introduce yourself first. You can add anything that you like if it's not on here.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Angelo Di Tommaso. I'm a biological sciences major, and I actually minor in nutrition as well. As you can see, some of my things I like to do are snowboarding, wakeboarding, skateboarding. I can pretty much anything with a board. um, but to get into, well, I guess, yeah, that's a good like little brief introduction.
I'm sorry, guys. Okay. I don't think Blanca is in yet, right? Okay. So this is one of our other students. I'm just gonna shout her out, right? So she's Blanca Soto Gomez. She's a kinesiology and health. She's class of 2022. And one of the fun facts that she shared about herself is that she adopted a pet hedgehog whose name is Sir Reginald Charles Benevente. So just in case she joins us later on, this way, you know who she is. All right, Carl, you're up.
Hi, I'm Carl. I'm currently a senior at Rutgers, majoring in nutrition science, and right now I'm in the process of applying to dietetic internships.
All right. And then as you guys can see, Carl loves cooking and working out. And the picture is pretty awesome. All right. Daniel.
Hi, my name is Daniel Scalia. I'm a senior as well, majoring in biology. I enjoy biking, powerlifting, camping, and an interesting thing about all of those things is all of those activities there's clubs for at Rutgers, so that way I can get involved and kind of meet like-minded students, And in my hometown and in my high school, like there wasn't a club or even just a group of people that did any of those activities, but I was able to find that at Rutgers.
That's awesome. All right, Gabby.
Hi guys, sorry, my cat is driving me insane today, so I just had to go get her. I'm Gabby. I'm an animal science major on the pre-vet track in SEBS. I'm a senior. It says class of 2021, which I guess is technically true, but I have to do an extra semester, so I'll be here next fall too. My fun fact was that I'm a direct descendant of Benjamin Franklin, and no one believes me when I say this, but I swear to God, my mom went through our whole ancestry and it's like been verified and everything. So yeah, I always think that's funny to share.
That is a pretty awesome fact. All right, Shamalia.
Hi, I'm Shamila. I'm a biotech major and I'm a biochem minor. My fun fact isn't as interesting, but it just says that I like writing. I spend time with my friends and I also cook, and I'm a senior.
Great. So what is this food that you have here? Because it looks yummy.
This is from a restaurant in New York. It's like a pancake. It's like lemon ricotta pancake. It was really fancy, but just aesthetic. That's why I got it.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. All right. So thank you very much, guys, for introducing yourselves. I just want to remind participants to please type your questions in the chat. My colleague here, Ms. Romo, will be able to address any questions that you have. And then also, if there are questions that we need to pose out to the whole group, we will do so. And then I also want to point out that you can email us at sebs.rutgers. I'm sorry, you can find us at email us at sebs.rutgers.edu, or if you have questions, prospective at sebs.rutgers.edu. I'm sorry, I'm getting all tongue tied. And then we also have opportunities for you to connect. I know that right now with everything that's going on and us not being in person, we are striving hard to create opportunities for our students to be able to still remain and feel connected. And that includes prospective students. So we do have an Instagram page that you can follow us on, which we update very frequently with all of our events. And then you can see the QR code here to register for a virtual class. A virtual class consists of either a live class that is being taught by one of our professors, meaning you would join a regular class that is on our schedule. So you would actually get the opportunity to either be, to go into a class that has, maybe 300 students, but you get a feel for what it would be like if you were taking a virtual class here at Rutgers. And then you also get a link to be able to do a chat after your class with one of our ambassadors in case you have follow-up questions. We also have mock classes that are created specifically for prospective students, which are shorter classes that you can also get an opportunity to get a feel for what it would be like to be in a classroom with a professor, and for now online. And then there's also another QR code here that we ask that you please scan, and I'll display this again at the end of our session. Please complete a survey with your feedback and an opportunity to win a prize. Our office, I'm Laura Mitchell. I actually am an admin at the Office of Academic Programs. We are housed at Martin Hall with our academic deans. And although we are remote, we are available via phone and also live chat. So if you go to sebs.rutgers.edu, you'll see a little widget that comes up and you'll actually get either one of our staff members or a staff member and a dean at all times from 8 to, not at all times, 8:30 to 5. And again, you can reach us at 848-932-3000. So now I'm gonna actually stop sharing my screen and I'm gonna open it up to the participants that are here. Do any of the participants have any questions, or yeah, do any of the participants have any question at this time for our ambassadors? No? Okay. So I'm going to actually pose some questions to the ambassadors, and then as we move on, I'm going to pause so that if there's any questions that arise from our attendees, please either put it in the chat or that'll give you the opportunity to unmute yourself and actually ask the questions. So I'm going to put it out there to the ambassadors. If you want to answer, if you guys could just unmute yourselves and then just also be mindful of the time, okay? So the first question that I want to ask you is, why did you choose Rutgers? Who would like to take that first?
I guess I can go first. To me, I wanted research was a very important thing. So actually my final choice was between TCNJ and Rutgers, but I ultimately chose Rutgers just because Rutgers has a lot more resources for research. There's just so many opportunities, whether you're directly emailing professors or through programs like Aresti. So that was a huge thing. And then also I enjoyed the fact that there's so many clubs and opportunities at Rutgers, but at SEBS specifically, you're able to get like a small college feel, but you still have all of the opportunities of a large college.
Thank you, Daniel. Who else would like to take that next? Why did you choose Rutgers? Gabby.
Yeah, I can go. I always say there's like two reasons that I chose Rutgers, because honestly, I really didn't want to come to Rutgers when I was in high school, because in my school, I only lived like 20 minutes. So many people, I'm so sorry if my cat is distracting in the background. But so many people from my school go to Rutgers, and it was so close, so it just felt like in high school I felt like I wanted to get away from home, when I didn't end up. So it wasn't my first choice, but once I came for a tour, specifically for the animal science department, once I saw the farm, first of all, was one of my reasons why, because I just fell in love with our farm. Comparing it to the other schools that I looked at, their farms were so far off campus, and I just got the sense that they really weren't very hands-on, and you wouldn't have the opportunity to get much hands-on experience. So when I came to Rutgers and saw how involved all the students are on the farm, I knew that I really liked that. And I was also looking for a school where I could get some research experience, because when I came to Rutgers, my plan was to apply to vet school. So I wanted some research experience, and Rutgers has a ton of research opportunities. And luckily I got involved in one of them. So yeah, those are my two reasons, I guess. The farm, we have a great farm, and our research opportunities are plentiful.
Thank you, Gabby. Who would like to take that next?
I can go next.
All right.
I think for me, it was, I'm also in state. So like, just like Gabby, I did not think I was going to come to Rutgers when I originally applied. I actually didn't even apply to the honors school because I knew it was more essays and stuff. And I was like, I'm not going there, so I don't really feel like doing the work. But I ended up coming here and loving it, like coming to the campus and looking around the campus and just loving it. And I also loved like what my tour guide kept saying, that you can make a big school small, but you can't make a small school big, which I guess like really hit home for me, because like even in high school, like you kind of have all those people that you're like really close with, and they're like they're like your really good friends. And like college is the same way. So even though school's so big, like you end up finding your groups through clubs and like Greek organizations and other things. That's another thing I actually wanted to mention. I'm in a social fraternity on campus, and I'm also a chem teaching intern, and I'm a SEBS ambassador. So like through all those, you kind of like meet your people, and you really can find your people at a big school like this. Also, Rutgers being such a big like scientific power, and knowing that I wanted to pursue science in a way of helping people, that was huge for me. And also seeing all the, like, it's such a big school that so many undergrads can actually get involved in research, which is really cool.
Awesome. Carl?
So I chose Rutgers because I found it like really affordable. They offer a lot of grants, a lot of scholarships to their students. And another reason why I chose Rutgers is because of their strong academic programs. Like for example, nutrition sciences. I believe we're like in the top 10, like in the nation for nutrition sciences. That's why I chose Rutgers.
Awesome. Shamala?
I kind of had to settle for Rutgers because my brother went to Rutgers, so it's kind of like I'll go there too. So like I'm also from Jersey, so I live like 25 minutes away. So I didn't want to go here originally, but going here has given me so many opportunities, especially with research. Like since I was here like freshman year, I've been affiliated with research, and like career-wise, I feel like it helped me figure out what I was going to do like post graduation. So I think Rutgers gives a lot of opportunity for people who want to go into research and science. But other than that, there's so many clubs and organizations. Like there's something for everyone at Rutgers.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. So I'm going to follow up that question with, and not everybody has to answer it. You can either, maybe just like maybe two of you. So what is the biggest adjustment that you experienced as an incoming freshman? Would like to take that.
I can go.
Sorry, you go first. I'll go.
Okay. One of the biggest adjustments I found was like class sizes, because like in high school I had really small, like around 20 students, but when I entered my freshman year, my class sizes jumped to up like over 100 students. So what I found helpful for like adjusting for class sizes was like sitting in the front, because you really got like the professor's attention and they would like remember your face.
All right, Gabby.
I was gonna say, like, my hardest adjustment coming as a freshman was realizing that you're basically in charge of yourself. It's very different from high school, where there's so many people. First of all, you're forced to go to high school; it's not an option. And there's so many people making sure that you're getting your work done. All your teachers, your counselors, your parents. Like, there's so many people on top of you. And then you go to school, and it's kind of like, if you don't put in the work, you're not going to get anything out of it, and no one's going to tell you to do it. So that was like a big adjustment for me, realizing that like I chose to do this, so I need to, like make myself accountable for staying on top of everything and getting a planner and making sure I'm getting everything done.
Okay, thank you. So we actually have a question in the chat from Kate, I'm sorry, Catalino, Kate Latino. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name, but the question is, did any of you start out undecided, and what made you choose the major you did?
I know. I started out undecided. I kind of knew I wanted to do. I kind of knew I wanted to do bio, but I wasn't completely sure. So I came in with undecided major and then worked my way into the bio program. But the bio program is also one of those programs you have to take a couple classes before you get into it. But the bio major at least. But I did come in undecided, and I guess just like I always knew I wanted to do science, and I guess I took bio my freshman year, so I guess it kind of firmed me into like, yeah, this is what I want to do.
Okay, great. Anybody else want to answer that? Did you come in undecided, and what made you choose your major?
I didn't come in undecided, but I think maybe a good thing to do is, if you're completely unsure of what you want to major in, maybe a better approach would be to look at the different schools we offer rather than the specific majors. So you can look at all the majors that SEBS offers, or SAS, or the engineering school or business, and see like in what direction you'd rather go. And then once you get into those schools, after like a year or two, you can see like which specific major interests you more. That might help you.
Okay. Anybody else want to address that?
Also, another thing is that a lot of the classes at Rutgers, you can kind of start off in a general idea and then kind of narrow it down along the way. Like, for example, if you knew you wanted to do something bio-related, you could always start like technically as a bio major, just taking like gen bio and the prerequisites. And like, for example, for the bio major, you need to take like at least 3 bio elective credits in everything from like microbiology to the study of bugs if you want. So there's a lot of like, you can all, like, you don't feel like if you choose a major, you have to stick with it. You can always choose a general major and take electives. So for example, if you take like a microbiology elective and that's not your thing, then, you know, you still have plenty of opportunity, and it's not like you've wasted that class in any sense.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. Anybody else want to address that question? Okay, so I'm going to pause, and I'm going to ask any of the attendees if you have any other questions that maybe you want to unmute yourself to ask, or you can put it into the chat. Okay, all right. So let's see. What do you wish you had known going into your freshman year? Angelo, what do you wish you had known before going into your freshman year?
I guess I wish I was better at time management. I feel like that's something huge that you have to develop in college. I know Gabby was saying that a little bit. Just because you're really like, you're used to just being at school all day. So you're pretty much just doing work all day in high school, as opposed to when you come to college, you go to class, and it's also a choice to go to class. Some people don't go, and that affects you if you choose not to go. And also, like, you could stay in your dorm. A lot of people, it's weird, like having to feed yourself, I guess, and not having like dinners at home, or your lunch made when you go to school. So definitely that. And I think time management's the biggest thing, because I've never had more free time on my hands than my freshman year of college.
Yeah,
you.
also I would mention one thing is that don't feel like stressed your freshman year or even your sophomore year if like you feel like you haven't found your group yet or you haven't found your club. I remember freshman year, like I got a lot of like anxiety over like, oh, I'm just staying in my dorm, or like I'm like all of my roommate is out partying and having an amazing time. But like later on I realized that he was just going to Wendy's at midnight with a couple of his friends and just talking there, So it's like it's not like there's so many opportunities for you to talk to other people, and don't feel like other freshmen like aren't going through the same thing as you do. Everybody, especially as a freshman, wants to meet new people, and I'm sure with this pandemic everybody wants it even more. So don't feel like you're the only one being left out or something.
That's true. I met one of my best friends, like still, and I'm a senior now. I met her my freshman year on a bus going to bio because we were both going to bio. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Do the other ambassadors have anything they would like to add to that? What do you wish you had known before you went into your freshman year? Okay. All right. So let's see. Let's move on. So speaking a little bit, I think I'm not sure if Daniel mentioned it or Angelo, but with this pandemic and us being virtual, what has been your experience with classes and how they're taught, and how the difference between in person and online, and is it manageable?
I can go. I think a lot of people have different opinions about this depending on what kind of student you are. But for me personally, I've really been enjoying the online so far. I feel like I was a commuter last semester. So I felt like a lot of my time was wasted having to drive to class and park and then walk to class and then find something to eat. Like, I feel like how the classes are going now, I have a lot more time to get all my work done. And the majority of my professors have done a really good job of reworking their class to make it an online class. All the professors still are required to have office hours. Normally, they would have to have in-person office hours, I think at least twice a week. So they're still doing that. They'll have 2 sessions where you can go and talk to them. And the difference between some of my classes, some of them are synchronous, which means you have to be on like the live class at a certain time. But actually, a lot of mine have been asynchronous, so you can just go and watch the lectures whenever you want. And I've actually found that a lot better for me, because I can go back and watch the lecture like a bunch of times, or go back if I didn't hear something. And I just like it a lot better because there's not people constantly asking questions the whole time, because they can sit and then watch the entire video and then at the end see if they have any questions and then reach out to their professors. So there's been like less distractions. So yeah, for me personally, I think that it's been going really well.
I feel like it's something that I definitely think there's like pros and cons, but I mean, a lot, like I feel like a lot of the pros are definitely like time wise. Like I can just roll out of bed at 8 a.m. when I have my 8 a.m. lab and just like hop on my laptop, and which is really nice. Because originally I would have to like, probably wake up at 7 to get dressed, eat something, and get on a bus to get there by 8. So that's nice. Definitely there is, like Gabby was saying, the two different class types. I also find that in synchronous lectures, I don't really listen just because I know that I'm going to go back anyway and watch the pre-recorded lectures just because like I feel like I'm so used to taking notes like that now, and it's so much nicer because like Gabby said, you can pause it, like you can go back. It's not like in the lecture when you're like, like typing like a psychopath trying to get every single word the professor says down. So I definitely think that's helpful, and the synchronous you can just like listen and kind of absorb as much as you can. But it's definitely interesting. I definitely like the being able to like hop on and just kind of like hop right into your lecture and not have to go anywhere and saving all that travel time.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll hop in. Basically for me, I have a class where it's like they'll post the lecture video beforehand, and so you could watch it, and then during lecture time, he kind of makes those his office hours. So it's not like you're going out of your way to like reach out to the professor. I feel like there's more office hours available and like more connections that you can make with your professor rather than like having to drive to office hours, because I did commute too. So like making separate time is like easier now. So there's more time to like be in class or like talk to your professor.
Okay.
So with online work, I found work like way more manageable because you can like work at your own pace. You can go ahead with schoolwork. So like generally, I've been working way more ahead once taking online classes.
Okay. All right. So there's obviously some pros and some cons to it. And, in our other session, some of the students mentioned also the part where it's nice to be able to go back to a lecture versus when you're in person and it'd be hard to, maybe you forget a question to ask. So it definitely has its plus and minuses, right? But there is a lot of resources available for you as a student on our campus, even though we are remote. The campus is still providing tutoring services. They're still providing office hours, as you can hear from our students. So there's no lack of support, even if you do happen to run into some struggles with the online platform. Again, I'm going to pause. Are there any questions from any of our attendees? If you want to unmute yourself and just ask a general question to our students. Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask this question. How many of you dormed? Okay, so I know that this is a question for a lot of our in prospective students. Dorms, what do they look like? Do I get to choose my roommate? So I'm going to pose that to those of you that actually dormed. How do the dorm rooms look and the experience of dorm life, as well as do you get to choose your roommate?
I can talk about it. So for me, you can choose like a specific person to room with. For me, I chose a kid that went to a high school like right near me. He actually went to the same high school my dad graduated from. But I met his sister one day, and then she was talking about how her brother was going to Rutgers, and we ended up rooming together, and like we've been best friends ever since. We hit it off. So that was a really good roommate story. And then it's really easy. You go onto the Rutgers website, you pretty much type in each other's like IDs and your name so that you're making sure that it's the right person, and then you fill out a sheet and online it's just really simple questions like what time do you like to go to bed, like do you like to listen to music in the room? Would you rather have headphones on? Questions just to kind of gauge what you like in a room and like what you would be compatible with in a roommate. So you just select all the same answers as who you want to room with, and then they'll room you together like as like a package deal. So I lived in Tinsley, which is on College Ave, my freshman year. Overall, it was a really, really good experience. You get to meet a lot of people, And a lot of those friendships like that you form are kind of your baseline friendships for the rest of college, because no matter like I still am friends with those kids and I still run into them in like random classes. And it's really fun because you get to know those people, but they're kind of like your baseline friends because you've had them your whole since you got here, which is really awesome and like special. But yeah, I mean, and you also fill out a roommate contract, which I think is important to mention. So even if you can get a random roommate, or even if you do room with someone you like, you can fill out a roommate contract, kind of say, again, kind of asking similar questions like what you like. So you're kind of like, you know, do you like to sleep late? Do you like to wake up early? Like loud music, all those kind of questions. And that way, if any problem arises with your roommate, you can bring it up to your RA and they'll actually address the contract that you had signed in the beginning of the year. So it can be really helpful, even if you do by some chance get a roommate that you're not very compatible with.
Thank you, Angela.
I dormed my first 2 years too. I was actually in Tinsley and Clothier with Angelo both years too. But those are both on College Ave. But I wanted to clarify the differences between all of our campuses, because sometimes I feel like maybe people don't understand what we're talking about when we say like the different campuses. So we have College Ave campus, we have Cook/Douglas campus, Livingston, and Bush campus. We call them different campuses because they're a little bit separated. That's why we have our bus system. So like College Ave and Cook are like a 10-minute drive through downtown New Brunswick to get to each other, maybe like 5 minutes, but I'm thinking of the bus because it takes longer. And then Livingston and Bush you have to go like on Route 18, but everything is, you know, close to each other. You just have to take the buses to get to them. It used to be that it still kind of is with classes, but each campus was like home to one of our schools. So obviously Cook Douglas campus is home to SEBS. I think like SAS, the School of Communications, is on College Ave. Livingston is where the business school main campus, Bush is the engineering campus. So it used to be that you had to live on whatever campus of the school that you were enrolled in. But it's not like that anymore. You can live wherever you want. That's why I was in SEBS, but I lived on College Ave my first 2 years. Each campus kind of has like their own feel. So College Ave is like downtown New Brunswick. There's like a ton of places to eat. That's where like all the bars are. That's where all the frat houses are, Greek life houses are. So if you're interested in that, maybe you'd want to live there. Cook campus is more of like open fields. That's where our farm is. It's less busy. It's definitely just more mostly students on campus. Livingston is kind of like one of our newer campuses, and I think the smallest. I call that one the international campus because that's where like all of our international students live. And so I always think of international when I'm there because all of the food, the dining hall is always like international food, and the places to eat there are a bunch of international kind of food. And then Bush is engineering, and I don't even know how to describe Bush. It's very industrial, I guess. I feel like you need to be an engineer to live on Bush, and I'm not an engineer, so I just can't imagine. But yeah, my point is that you can live wherever you want on whatever campus you want. And it especially doesn't matter in your probably first and second year, because your classes are going to be scattered on every campus, regardless if you've like already declared a major or a school. Because you'll be taking all of your non-major classes, you'll be taking like your core classes at first, which are in all different departments. So your classes will be all scattered. So like my freshman year, I had a class on every single campus, I think. So it really didn't matter what campus I lived on. Once you get more into your major, and if you're in SEBS, maybe you would want to then live on Cook because most of your classes would be there. But yeah, it's always up to you, like where you want to live.
Thank you, Gabby. I think someone else said they dormed, right? Daniel?
Yeah, to kind of reiterate, like you can definitely put preferences to different campuses, but don't feel bad or stressed if you get a campus that you didn't want, because there's always 3 more years. And also you'll always find freshmen where you dorm. most freshmen will be put in a dorm that's like only freshmen. So for example, I lived on Nicholas, and that was on Cook, and it was very convenient because it was in the middle of everything. It was next to the gym, the dining hall. So it was just an amazing experience. Like whenever I wanted to go eat, like I was kind of at the end of the hall. So like we would go down knocking on people's doors, and like until slowly it was a large group, and then we just went and got like dinner or breakfast together. So if you can dorm, I would say it's a great experience, especially your freshman year, because like Angela said, those are kind of like your base group of friends. Like I've made a lot of friends from clubs and organizations, but it's really the people that you live with you'll have the strongest connection to because you live with them. So either you're going to get super annoyed with them or you're just going to grow to love and be good friends with all of them. And then kind of as you become a sophomore and as you become more of a senior and a junior, there's also a lot more choices. So if you're into apartment style living, you can do that. My sophomore year, I lived in the Newell apartments on Cook Douglas as well. So those, they almost kind of remind me of like a gated community, kind of like almost like a house kind of feel, even though they were Rutgers apartments, because there was like little grills outside as well. Each kind of, it was kind of like a little house connected to other little houses. So it was definitely another unique feel. The benefit of that was that you kind of have your own space and a little more room, but you also kind of miss that connection with other people that you might get living in a dorm.
Great. Thank you guys so much. All right, so I'm going to ask, I know that all of you are involved in a lot of different clubs and organizations. What are some of the ones that you would recommend or that you know are the most popular on our campus?
So I'm a part of a social fraternity on campus, and I'm also a chem teaching intern, which is it's like if you do really well in in the first two chemistries at Rutgers, just General Chem 1 and General Chem 2, or as we call them 161 and 162. Um, if you do really well in those classes, you get an email and then you can go in for an interview to kind of become a chem teaching intern, which is pretty much the same as a TA, like a teaching assistant. We hold office hours, we answer students' questions, we hold reviews for students, kind of stuff like that. But that's a really good opportunity if it's presented to you. I mean, I always feel like at school, you're gonna have a lot of like little opportunities presented to each other. And I always like to like take new opportunities and kind of try things that I might not be like the most comfortable with just to kind of always keep me on my toes. But chem I was just always really good at, so that really interests me, and like being able to give back and kind of help students who struggle with it is really awesome. And then with the fraternity, I think that's also a really cool experience. I actually lived in my fraternity house my junior year, which was really fun. Living with like 35 guys is definitely interesting. But everyone's really loud, but it's really fun. Like you kind of get really close. I mean, like Daniel was saying, you get really close to the people you're living with, so you kind of become like one big huge close knit friend group. But you can do that in any club. Like fraternities are great. I know sororities is like that. But like club lacrosse, like club soccer, like all these other clubs, they become like your friend group, like your close knit kind of group that you hang out with. So like anything you can do to get involved really, I think will boost your experience, and you'll meet so many new people and kind of have all these really like cool new experiences. So definitely take opportunities as they come.
Thank you. Anyone else want to share maybe clubs that you're a part of that you would recommend looking into, or maybe you have friends who are part of certain clubs that are really just popular?
I'm not a part of this club, but I know like this is one of the most popular clubs at SEBS, but specifically, I guess, in animal science. We have I always say it wrong, puppy.
The CNI Puppy Club, I believe.
Yeah, there's too many words. CNI Puppy Raising Club, I think. But that one's really popular. I started to join like twice at my time here, but the meetings just like never worked with my schedule, so it just never happened. But that club is exactly what the title is. You raise puppies to be seeing eye dogs. So you can like start as, I think like your first semester, you can just be a part of the club and you have to put in some hours at like their tabling kind of events. And then the next step, you have to take like a test and you can become a sitter. So the sitter is like, you take care of the dog when the raisers have to take an exam or, you know, go to a lab or somewhere where they can't bring the dog with them. And then obviously I think like the goal for most people is to become a raiser. And so once you become a raiser, you'll get matched with a little puppy that are so adorable. And they're basically your dog for, I don't know, I can't remember exactly how many months. I want to say like 6 months you have it, but that could be wrong. But it's basically your dog for that time. And all you have to do is you have to teach them like basic kind of commands like sit. You have to teach them how to walk good on the leash and stuff like that. And then at the end of that time, they have to take a test. And if they pass, they'll get sent to the Seeing Eye Dog organization in Monroe or no. Morristown, in New Jersey. So I know that's a really popular club, and maybe we can send a link for it. But I know people are like really interested in doing that, and it's always fun to see the dogs, the puppies, like walking around campus.
Yes, we love when they come into the office as well. And yes, the links are actually in our chat feature, in the chat box. Ms. Romo's been actually posting a lot of resources in here regarding involvement, visiting our campus. So just definitely take a look at all of the links, maybe just copy them and paste them onto like a Word file so you can go back to them later. So we are actually almost at the end of our time frame. So I am going to just have maybe a couple of you share this one last question. But first, let me ask if there's any questions from our attendees that you would like to unmute yourself to ask or put in the chat that maybe has not been addressed. Okay. All right. So the last question for you guys is, what would be the most important advice that you would give to an incoming freshman? And feel free, whoever would like to share that.
Two things. I would say don't be afraid to go out, try new things. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Because like you're gonna look back on your freshman year and you're never gonna look back and be like, oh wow, I regret joining that club, even if the club didn't work out. Like you're never gonna be, oh, I regret talking to new people or taking a new class with something maybe that's not your major or minor, but maybe something that you're interested in, or reaching out to a professor for research. I would say just take the opportunities. The worst thing that can happen is they turn you down and then you just can go to another person because there's just so many opportunities at Rutgers.
Great. Anyone else?
I agree with Daniel, and I also just want to like reemphasize what I was saying earlier about like taking opportunities as they come, because I remember like being a person like going on these tours and meeting these students who it seemed like they do so much at Rutgers, and I remember meeting them and being like, wow, like that's so impressive. Like I guess not really thinking that that would be me as a senior, but then like I just would take like one opportunity at a time. Like when I got the email for SEBS ambassador, I was like, sure, and then I got the email for ChemTI. And so you kind of like take one thing at a time, and then eventually like you're a senior and you're like, wow, I actually do a lot of stuff. And like now also going into like don't be afraid of failing. I probably emailed like 20 professors over the summer to try and get somewhere to do research. And I finally got one to answer, and I finally got in the lab. So all that hard work pays off, and those denials just lead you in the right direction.
Good for you. Good. That was a root. I was rooting for you. Anybody else? What's advice that you would give to an incoming freshman?
I would say don't be afraid to fail, because coming from high school, for me at least, these classes got a lot harder, and I definitely, my grade point average was a lot different than it was in high school, and I wasn't expecting that. And it feels like, oh, I didn't do well in this one class, I might as well drop out. Like, I'm never going to come back from this. But it's really not like that. You're going to have a lot of tests, classes, quizzes, whatever, that are not going to go the way you want. Not even just academic, just in general in college, there's going to be, like Angela was saying, you're going to have failures, but eventually they're going to work out as long as you stay on top of yourself. And I would also say something to keep in mind coming into college is you're only in competition with yourself. And that's really important to remember. My experience in like the pre-vet major, most of the people, at least in like your freshman year, a lot of people are planning on applying to vet schools, which is a very, very competitive schools to get into. There's only like 30 in the US. So there's kind of like a competitive nature within that major at times. Like it kind of feels like a lot of people are like asking you what you're doing so they can compare and like see if they're ahead of you, kind of like that. And you start to get worried, like, am I doing enough? I think it's really important to just focus on yourself and find the balance of how many things you can handle. If am I doing enough or am I doing too much? And then find it in the middle. Because there were definitely times when I felt like I was doing nothing and I was like, I'm not doing enough. And then there were times when I had way too much on my plate and I was like, this isn't working either. So you just need to find like what is right for you and where you feel like you're, doing what you need to do.
Thank you. Carl?
Don't be so discouraged if you don't do well your freshman year. Like for me, my freshman year, I barely had a 3.0 as my grade point average, and I learned from my mistakes. As long as you learn like what you did wrong or what went wrong, freshman year can always like improve. Like I went from having like a 3.0 barely GPA to now about to graduate with honors, hopefully. Hopefully, yeah.
Good for you. Shamala, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I would tell myself before I'd entered college is that not to have a narrow-minded mentality. Because I think ever since like I was in high school, I was like, I want to be an engineer. And then I got into the engineering school, and I was like, oh no, like this is not for me. Like you need to realize that you will probably change your major, or you like the expectations that you set for yourself, don't be so hard on yourself with those expectations. That would be my advice.
Thank you so much. And it's such amazing advice coming from amazing students. So thank you very much for all of your insight. And I would like to thank again all of the attendees for being a part of this chat. And we hope that the students were able to answer some of the questions that maybe you've been thinking about. If there was something that wasn't answered, please make sure that you reach out to us. I'm actually going to share my screen again so you can see our contact information. Feel free to, again, reach out to us via phone, email, use the QR code for signing up for classes, or our live chat feature. Please, if you have questions regarding, if you decide to apply, if you have questions regarding that, please reach out to our office, maybe deadlines. You can also use our website. Everything is posted on our website. It is a little tough sometimes to navigate. So I always recommend that you use Google. If you just Google, deadlines for SEBS applications or Rutgers applications, it'll come right up. Again, thank you to our panelists for all of your insight and for all of your help today. And we hope that the attendees that are here, that you will be future Scarlet Knights. And if not, we wish you well in all of your endeavors and we wish you good health. All right, everybody have a great day. Thank you.
Wow, that was fast.